John Shoup, in his study on what makes exemplary leaders, came up with 7 influences that contributed to his leaders' successes, or the leaders that he studied on their successes. The 7 influences are involved parents, a happy childhood, formal and informal education, prodigious patrons, critics and adversaries, apprenticeships and sequences of success, and favorable fate. I'm going to be giving my presentation on prodigious patrons. Prodigious patrons could also really be seen as good fortune. Prodigious patrons are people who, almost with a providential timing and unwittingly at the time, become strategic catalysts for the leader to make it to the next plateau of success or downfall. I've experienced a number of prodigious patrons in my life, both that have formed me in my spiritual life as well as a leader. When I was in high school, I was blessed to encounter a cross-country coach that not only took an interest in my academic success and my athletic success, but also my spiritual success. From a freshman in high school through a senior in high school, and even on and into my junior college years, he would ask me to attend church with him and go to lunch afterwards. We would have discussions on life and school and sports, and he really became a person that acted as a sounding board for me to talk about life and how I could excel and further my career in athletics. So he was certainly a prodigious patron that helped me excel in my life. And also when I went to college, meeting Coach Staniford, he really catapulted me in my leadership abilities and really believed in me in a time when I didn't believe in myself, and really allowed me to excel in my leadership capabilities. But the idea of prodigious patrons is that these patrons serve a substantive or monumental role in shaping and maintaining a leader's success and influence. The term prodigious is used because it means monumental or consequential effect or outcome from a particular influence at a particular time. Prodigious also has the connotation of providence and fate, reflecting that timing of the influence was an essential factor in the eventual outcome. Like I said, could also be seen as just good fortune or being blessed. Being a patron has a wide definition. It could be somebody that offers a word of encouragement at an opportune time, to somebody that offers financial support for an endeavor. So an example of offering a word of encouragement, I have a friend who recently planted a church here in the Wichita area. Doesn't have any seminary background, but planted a church, felt that God was leading him to do that, and anytime that I see him, being able to speak with him about the church and just really listening to him, I can see is just an encouragement to him that people do care about his well-being and the well-being of the church, and also just being a voice into that God has called him to do this specific thing, and that he's acting in obedience, and just speaking those words over him is encouraging to him. And also I have another friend who recently said that he was going to be working with navigators and let his community group, which I happen to lead, know that he needed to raise $36,000 before he could go to work with them. And that's an amazing feat having to raise $36,000. But being a prodigious patron, anyone who contributes to that 36,000 will be that for him during that time. An excellent example in the book is Jack Welch, who was a CEO at General Electric and really took General Electric through a great season. Had an impressive tenure there at GE. But Jack Welch ran into a guy named Herm Weiss, and he would play a critical role in Welch's advancement to CEO. And Weiss really took an interest in Jack Welch and pretty much got him to stay at GE when he was wanting to quit. And this is just one example of many that Shoup uses to talk about just kind of this providential, prodigious patron that comes alongside a leader at an opportune time. How that influence can be incorporated into the development of leaders. Currently, I work as a business manager and controller in the business that I'm at, Wickham Industries, and I have 3 employees who work under my leadership, and one of the gals is taking another job at another location with another company because she's graduating from WSU with her degree in accountancy, and I'm able to speak into her life, hopefully as a prodigious patron, and just offering her guidance into what a job in accounting looks like, what having a full-time career looks like, even though she has experienced that in a minor capacity, but just being a voice and an encouragement to her that she does have marketable skills and that she will be valuable to the company, I hope is encouraging to her. I have another employee who is in her mid-40s, desires to go back to school, has a second job just because she feels that she has to. She was raised in poverty and lower class income or lower income family, and just knew that they didn't know where their next meals were coming from, and so the second job is kind of a security blanket for her, but she has mentioned being able to go back to school, and I've ensured that there are opportunities for her in tuition reimbursement through our business for her to be able to do that, and to just encourage her because most of her family lives back in California, to be a voice of encouragement over her that she can do this and that she would be able to afford it with the tuition reimbursement, and just to be that prodigious patron to her, to be able to encourage her to further her career, even though she's a little bit later in life in her mid-40s. She still has 20-30 years of her career left, so making those steps would do great for her. I also have one-on-one times with them. I've been with the company since December, and I've already had 3 type meetings with Rose, one being a goal-setting meeting, another being an evaluation of that goals and whether we met them, and another one was a 90-day review where we set goals for the future and evaluate how her progress has been in the last 90 days. I had 2 meetings with Sam, one to assess her career aspirations and what she wanted to be, another meeting to go over and evaluate the outcome of the Strengths Quest test that I made her take, and really just allowing her to see where her strengths are and how she can market those strengths in her new career coming up here in August. And I also have another employee who's very part-time. She works 10 hours a week, if that, mostly from home. So she might be in the office 1 or 2 hours a week, but I'm also able to interact with her. She attends my church, and I'm good friends with their family. And so I'm able to also just kind of understand what she wants out of her career. She's full-time mother, part-time in our office, but she also has career aspirations, not necessarily to go full-time, but I can speak words of encouragement to her and understand what she wants out of this job, and give her projects that challenge her, and not only see her as a part-time person, but also see her as a valuable contributor to our department. There are people that I have supported financially over the past few years. One woman used to be in a Bible study group that I led. She moved to Wilmington, Delaware, so that she could pursue a ministry with the urban poor, lower income families. They would just pound the pavement of Wilmington, Delaware, and just bring kids in after school to these after school extracurricular programs where they would teach them about Jesus and tutor them, help them with reading, writing, math, and also give them programs to be able to play sports, to be able to get them off the streets any way they could. And so I contributed financially to her. It was a very small amount, but I hope that helped her and also was an encouragement to her. So I hope in those capacities that I've been a prodigious patron to these people. The theories of leadership that I believe that this supports, number one, would be transformational leadership. Transformational leadership is a process that changes and transforms people. It is concerned with emotions, values, ethics, standards, and long-term goals. It includes assessing followers' motives, satisfying their needs, and treating them as full human beings. Transformational leadership involves an exceptional form of influence that moves followers to accomplish more than what is usually expected of them, and it is a process that often incorporates charismatic and visionary leadership. That is one thing that I hope that I would be to my employees, that I would be transformational in my leadership, and that I would teach them what transformational leadership looks like. Authentic leadership is also another theory of leadership that supports this prodigious patrons. Authentic leadership is an interpersonal process. This perspective outlines authentic leadership as relational. It results not from the leaders' efforts alone, but also from the response of followers. Authenticity emerges from the interactions between leaders and followers, and it's a reciprocal process because leaders affect followers and followers affect leaders. Also, authentic leadership can be defined from a developmental perspective. This perspective, which underpins the approaches to authentic leadership, they view authentic leadership as something that can be nurtured in a leader rather than a fixed trait. The final leadership theory that this supports would be servant leadership. And servant leadership begins with the natural feeling that one wants to serve first, then conscious choice brings one to aspire to lead. The difference manifests itself in the care taken by the servant, first to make sure that other people's highest priority needs are being served. And the best test is, do those served grow as persons? So the people that we serve will be growing as people and as leaders. This has been my review of Prodigious Patrons. Thank you for teaching the class, and good luck in future classes.